Are you looking to leverage the latest and best ideas to grow your advisory business from the best minds in the industry? Join us every Wednesday at noon Pacific for our speaker series, featuring dynamic guests sharing real strategies for real results. Brought to you by The Best Notary, where we help estate planning attorneys grow their business with less stress and more success.
Hey, I'm so glad that Niki's here. Stephanie actually did discover Niki through a group we both belong to called the Death Collective. It's a group of companies in what we call the kind of death tech industry. So thank you so much, Stephanie, for getting us in touch with Niki. This one I'm really excited about. It's one of our most well-attended webinars. Niki Weiss is a digital thanatologist. She's the founder of Endeavo and the creator of My Final Playbook platform and host of the Digital Legacy podcast. Her work sits at the intersection of death, technology, and modern life, helping individuals and organizations prepare for the inevitable with clarity instead of chaos. As our lives become increasingly complex, fragmented, and data-driven, traditional estate planning alone is no longer enough. Niki is redefining how people think about death, dying, and end-of-life preparation in a digital world by integrating modern digital tools with established legal and financial planning practices. It's great for estate planning attorneys in the room. Her proprietary framework focuses on four critical pillars of legacy readiness: legal, financial, physical, and digital. By addressing these areas before a crisis occurs, individuals gain peace of mind and leave behind clear guidance for those who must carry on, reducing confusion, easing emotional burdens, and strengthening resilience during life's most difficult transitions. With a background spanning healthcare, project management, data governance, and risk analysis, Niki brings both empathy and precision to a topic many people avoid. She is known for breaking down complex and uncomfortable conversations into practical, actionable steps that people can actually follow. Through speaking, training, and coaching, Niki's mission is to normalize conversations about death and dying, close the intention action gap in planning, and equip people with modern tools to protect what matters most. Prepare with intention, live fully, die ready. With that, Niki, welcome to our speaker series.
Eli, I should have you do a commercial for me. That was just awesome. I mean, I just want to let what's the tagline here? Tagline is live fully, die ready for a life well lived. And so thank you so much for inviting me to be here and sharing my passion on this topic. So I guess the one question I want to throw back to the audience before we kick off is what brought you here? Maybe some people can share either unmute your mic and share what was your motivation to give up to join us during this afternoon? And what is it that you're hoping to get out of today's conversation?
It caught my attention, the Thanatologist. I had never heard that concept, so it's just new, and I wanted to learn more about what you do. And I think what you do is very important, but I've never seen it approached in such a direct, professional manner.
Well, thank you for that, Ricardo. I think it's interesting how people are in this death tech space, but very siloed, right? So as legal professionals, fiduciaries, and estate planners, the fact that you don't know what the word thanatology means, we'll bring that up as word of the day. And I'll be able to share more about how thanatology can be more incorporated into your practice when you're talking with your clients about their plan and what is their plan. Anyone else before we get kicked off here? Oh, Eli, what was it about it was the digital piece. I would think the digital thanatology. So Ricardo mentioned thanatology, but what is it about digital thanatology? For those that don't know me, you can go ahead. I'm easy to find. LinkedIn is probably the best place to find me. And the Thanatology, we want to talk about word of the day. Some of you might have already been familiar with the word Thanos. Thanos from Marvel Comics, right? Big scary guy. But actually, Marvel Comics took what is the Greek god of death, Thanatos, and Thanatos is actually he's benign. It's a benign character, and it is the Greek god of death, helping people to transition to this inevitable stage of life. And so for most people, thanatology has not really penetrated itself yet into the legal terminology, but if working in hospice, working in music therapy, there's actually a branch of music called thanatology music, which in the music itself evokes a frequency that allows people to transition into death more easily, smoothly, with more peace. So now, word of the day, thanatology. But how does thanatology, when you're going to start seeing more about, you've heard about the death doulas, right? So death doula and what they teach as a death doula has very much to do with the curriculum of thanatology. There's actually a master's in thanatology. So when I'm being introduced to somebody, what is thanatologist? I say, think of psychology, sociology, anthropology, but as a thanatology, we just focus on death, dying, and the griefs around it. So then digital thanatology. Well, here's a fun fact, folks. Our generation, us, you and me, we are the first generation to die with more digital assets than physical ones. Think about it. How many photos do you have in your phone today? And decades ago, we used to just die with a box of photos. So our digital assets, our logins, our passwords, recurring subscriptions, our social media accounts, those are all digital assets. The fact that this session here is being recorded, Ricardo, the fact that you used your voice, that actually becomes a digital asset. Now, the big question is, who owns it? Because we don't, right? The tech companies own our digital assets. They manage it. They'll decide when, even knowing we might ask for it to be deleted, whether it's actually deleted or not. So we need to start thinking about our digital afterlife. So let me introduce you to Jessie. Jessie's Endeavo's trusted mascot.
Hey there, friend. I'm Jessie L. Bones, your friendly Endeavo guide. Welcome to the Digital Legacy Planning Masterclass, where even skeletons stay organized. I'm here with Thanatologist Niki Weiss, and together we guide you toward clarity, calm, and peace of mind that's to die for. I know, digital legacy planning sounds serious, but trust me, I've been dead a while. It's easier than you think. Today's all about getting your digital life in order, with clear steps, thoughtful choices, and a plan that truly fits your life. So grab a notebook, maybe a warm drink, and stay with us. We're making life planning simple, soulful, and slightly less bone dry. All right, Niki, flesh this one out for us. I'll just be over here rattling with excitement for what's next.
Well, thank you, Jessie.
Hey there, friend.
And people want to know, like, why did I bring Jessie into this? And because death is a taboo topic. And people ask, because it's a taboo topic, Niki, why are you so comfortable talking about it? And as a founder, I have a story. And for many of us, our story begins with our childhood. And I'm sharing with you a family photo. That's me down in the Snoopy picture. And there's 4 of us. This was an epic trip, family trip to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I think we went to Disney World afterwards. And what this photo doesn't share with you is what happened several years later, probably 2.5 years later, where my father had a sore throat that lasted for months. And when he finally did go to the doctor to determine that that sore throat was caused by esophageal cancer. And for 18 months, he went through treatment. So for my childhood, from the age of 9 until I was 11, I spent my weekends walking through Sloan Kettering Memorial Hospital and watching my parents try to figure out navigating doctor's appointments, while raising 4 children. It was a challenge. And for whatever reason, I managed through it. We had a tight family. 18 months later, my father did pass away. Now, my mother, 40 years old, she was left with 4 children to figure it out. Now, granted, this is in the 70s, late 70s, so the digital piece wasn't into play. But my mother still had to raise 4 children, get us through college. My father had a business, had to navigate the legal piece of that, the accounting piece. My mother, she was like the quintessential 1950s teenager. She met my father when she was only 14. They married just as she was 18 years old. She had all her children by the time she was 30 and a widow by the time she was 40. Mental health was not discussed back then. Bereavement, not a word anybody used. But my siblings and I, we saw her struggle and we supported her. She went through this very challenging time in life without a roadmap. Now, moving forward, what the story doesn't tell you is that 10 years later, at 50 years old, my mother was diagnosed with cancer, brain, liver, lung, large cell carcinoma. My mother chose not to go through aggressive treatment, and she just passed away 3 months later. And I was 21 years old. So now it was my turn to try and figure out all the legal, financial, physical. As a 21-year-old, I had to plan my mother's funeral arrangements with the help of my siblings. So then the question is, I was just wired for this. So I leaned into it. First part of my career, I worked as a hospice clinician, supporting families as they transition to this end stage of life. And it was a gift. It's a calling to work for hospice, and I felt very blessed by it. And then I worked in hospice, but by the time I turned 40, I actually realized I wanted to make some money. And so I transitioned from hospice work into project management, and that's where I've been for the last 20 years. And if you look at my LinkedIn profile, you'll see that I work for a large healthcare organization currently as my day job, while I'm building out this Endevo, end-of-life planning. So what I found is that in my research is that only 86% of Americans do not have a plan, less than a third. They don't have an end-of-life plan. And we're just talking like just the bare minimum. Just do they have a will? But now with the digital piece, the complexity is even more so. I've been doing conversations with hospice social workers who are telling me that their patients are
Did Nikki get stuck?
I think so.
Nikki, we lost your audio. I don't know if you can hear us. I think she might be having an internet hiccup.
Unfortunately, these things happen.
Yeah.
So I imagine she will reconnect. There she is back.
when
Thank
did
you,
you lose
Nikki.
me?
At people not having a digital plan.
Okay.
Most people don't have a will, but then we got to the part where vast majority don't have something digital planned.
So how long have I been gone for?
Very little, 45 seconds at the most.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
No problem.
Panic moment there. All good. All right. So what we were just saying is that when we're talking about a plan, a piece of the plan, that 86% of Americans don't have just even a tiny piece of the plan, much less a comprehensive plan. And now we're going to add the digital piece to it, where hospice social workers are telling me the biggest stressor that they're having today compared to years ago is that patients are dying with the passwords. They're not able to get the passwords so the families can resolve and get access to the accounts. So you're dealing with a very taboo topic, death, a very administratively complex process, right? Wills, trusts, power of attorney, medical advance directives, all those things that this profession maintains and supports. And now you're adding the tsunami of technology, artificial intelligence, just blanketing people's ability to make decisions. So we're here today to kind of not just demystify it, but also to hit it head on, to hopefully the words and expressions and scenarios I'm going to tell you today, and Eli and Stephanie and I are going to talk about, you'll be able to get some nuggets to be able to take back to your clients, to be able to have more of a thanatological conversation about their plan. What is that going to look like? As I mentioned before, we're the first generation to die with more digital assets than physical ones. But just to put out there that, hey, part of living is dying. We are all going to die. Just say that. Say it with with heart and conviction at the same time. And I would, that should have been a poll question, Stephanie, is like, how many of you in your profession actually come out and say point blank, what do you want to happen if you're not here tomorrow? What do you want to happen if you die? What do you want to happen if you're incapacitated? Are those questions that you feel comfortable asking your clients? So this image here is just to share the fact. Part of living is dying. We're all going to die. We'll die one of three ways. We'll die sudden and unexpected, like a car crash, heart attack, tsunami, war, or we'll get that terminal diagnosis, or we'll need a long-term care plan. But either way, we need a plan in place, a project plan in place, in order to mitigate and minimize the impact when someone passes. So what we're really dealing with is what we call the intention action gap. So what that means is that if you talk to your clients, I talk to people all the time and I'm like, do you have a will or trust? No. It's on my list of things to do. I know I need to do it. Or I have one, but it's, 25 years old. Okay. They have an intention to get it done. Have you done your password management? If you die tomorrow, do you want to be buried or cremated? Did you write it down? Did you pay for it? Those are the intentions. But there is a gap to get it done. And within that chasm of the gap, there's a lot of emotion. There's an expression that we use, a Yiddish expression, a lot of mushigas, a lot of emotional craziness in their reason why there's a gap between wanting to get it done and actually getting it done. Some things might be 10 reasons why people avoid. It could be procrastination, probably number one, fear, avoidance, denial, complexity, family dynamics, cost, time. These could be the reasons why someone will be stuck in this chasm of intention action gap. Think about weight management. I know I need to lose 20 pounds, but just following a diet and exercise program, that always doesn't do it. There's the emotional piece that makes it complicated for people to actually get it done. So to be aware that the client that you're sitting in, because you're asking them or giving them the checklist or telling them just to do it and they don't do it, it's not that they're disregarding your professional advice. It's just that they're having an intention action gap. And in that gap, there's a story. Now, the question is, you as the professional, and Eli, you can jump in here. We talked about this, how even the real heartfelt attorneys, estate attorneys, fiduciary professionals, you might want to step into that person's emotional story. But those aren't billable hours. So how deep do you want to go in order to get them to the next step? Eli, have you and Stephanie had scenarios or clients that you can think of that you've had that experience with?
Oh, this happens all the time. So, for those in the room who don't know us, we are a managed back office for estate planning attorneys. So, we are coming in at the last mile. But sometimes we meet clients, at the beginning of the process, right? They're setting up a signing date to sign their documents. And I'm sad to say that even after getting to the point where they found the lawyer, the documents are prepared, and now it's time to schedule an appointment to get the document signed, that sometimes we're seeing drag on for months, even years, to the point that it doesn't even ever happen. And the lawyer has to basically say, I'm going to send you the documents and we are done. The lawyer is essentially offering to have us take care of the last mile, bring everything out. So this gap can be really, really large. And we do our best to follow up diligently through calls, emails, texting. But it can be really hard, even if you've already spent the thousands of dollars to get the plan done. I'm sure the estate planners in the room can confirm this. It can be really hard to get this to the last step.
I can't tell you how many clients of mine that I've heard stories where they paid to have a trust done or a will done. And the lawyer handed back the final draft, but it never got executed. So in the end, person dies unexpectedly and they die in intestate. So even though they had the intention and took some of the steps, they didn't get it over the finish line.
We've also talked with some estate planning attorneys who talk about the onboarding call and then the amount of time that it takes to get the information. It's hard, and it's what we know about avoidance is it's reinforcing. The more I avoid something, then I don't have to deal with it. Oh, I feel calmer and more relaxed, and it's harder to face it the next time. And so this is a psychological process as well as a legal process. And so how do we help people deal with all of that? It's very difficult.
And this is where I had that aha moment. So the story, how did I come up with the idea of taking end of life planning and making it a project? So about 3 years ago, my husband and I realized that, we had not updated our wills since our kids were in high school. And now they're in their 30s, we're grandparents. So we went through the process of revising. Now, understand that death is an easy topic for me. And I'm a project manager, so the step-by-step administrative stuff doesn't overwhelm me. Oh, and by the way, my brother just happens to be an estate attorney, so we got a really good deal. So as my husband and I started going through this process, we already had our first one done. We just realized, we were married for 15 years and we just wanted to update things. It was complicated for me. I mean, it was really complicated. We have 3 adult children, they have spouses, grandchildren, who makes the decisions on what, how. We've been together 15 years, all of the stories that an attorney might not really want to hear, but the family needs to go through that decision-making process. And that's where the overwhelm comes in. That's where a lot of times, especially when you're dealing with couples, you might have one partner spouse that might be very motivated to get it done, and another spouse that's dragging their feet because they have some emotional issue around talking about death or thinking about it or being afraid of thinking about it, or the taboo if I think about it, then it's going to happen. And they just have not been able to manage taking the fear out of it. So then when I realized that this was actually a thing, even for me, I went back to my hospice peeps and I asked them, hey, you're still working in hospice 20 years later. Why are people still coming into hospice 6 days, 6 weeks, and not 6 months, which is Medicare pays? It's like the only benefit the only free benefit in the United States that, will pay full benefit for, which is hospice. People don't take advantage of that. Why is that? Like, I'm boggled by it. So I started doing more deeper research on that. And I realized that what's changing the conversation around death and dying, it's our phones. It's our data. It is our data that is allowing us to de-emotionalize the experience and put a plan into place. Oh, I die tomorrow. My phone dies with me, thinking about multi-factor authentication. There's like that it triggers like, oh, I probably need to take action on that. Versus, oh, well, dead is dead. What do I care? They'll figure it out. 2 very different sides. So as a project manager, what I realized is pulling together a end of life plan it's a project, because you're gathering information. There are stakeholders, there are risks, there are schedules, budgets. We are looking at quality, auditing, monitoring, all of the pieces, communication is probably the biggest piece, right? So being able to take what All of us do, right? And you're just one component, right? I'm putting this audience in just the legal component. I can have this same exact conversation with the financial service providers, who are the wealth managers, the accountants, the insurance agents, the social security specialist, or the physical service providers, which would be the funeral directors, hospice agencies, and long-term care. And then finally, the digital service providers, which is all of the, whether we're working with cryptocurrency or even just getting access to accounts, logins, passwords, so forth. So that's where I said, let's do this end of life planning different. Let's make it a project. So what does that mean? It means building this process, these steps. So we're going to de-emotionalize the conversation about death and dying. Part of living is dying. We're all going to die. We just need to plan for it. And then we're going to start taking the steps of reflecting on your know, love, and trust. So when you're an estate attorney sitting in front of you, know, love, and trust. Who is going to be on those documents? Use those terms. And also we need to identify that some of these people are not coming from traditional families. We've got the solo agers, right? Or an elder orphan, if you're not familiar with those two terms. So a solo ager is somebody who by choice does not have, they're not married, no kids, they might be estranged from their families, or they just, they have assets, but they just don't have that traditional, if they die tomorrow, who would be their beneficiaries? Or the elder orphans. These might be your older clients who they've outlived their children, their siblings, their parents. And they're kind of orphaned, kind of out there on their own, but they need special attention too. So know, love, and trust. Once they're in your office and they've identified those know, love, and trust, they need to decide who is going to have what role and responsibility, and to guide them. Every stakeholder does not hold, each stakeholder might be designated for a different role. Who I'm going to assign as my medical proxy, I might not assign them as my financial POA. Document. Are they going to use a service provider, professional service provider like yourselves? Are they going to use an online service? Or are they going to DIY it? They want to execute it. And this is where, well, you folks come in the beginning too, but you're also making sure that that everything has been executed, the notaries, the signatures. Then we want to encourage them to communicate. Where are they going to communicate it? And then most importantly, they're going to have to iterate this. They're going to have to update. It's not a one and done. That's that educational piece. So I'm back to Stephanie and Eli. Do you find, out of these steps here, where do you feel that you make the biggest impact from the first conversation?
I'll let Stephanie jump in because she's actually, as a psychologist, wanting to bring in her work with families in terms of untangling some of the difficult decisions, which I'm hearing make it hard to get to the step where you are finding that professional to help you, or even if you DIY with a tool, until you know who the people are going to be the guardians of your children, typically, you're not going to be able to move forward and get those documents finalized. So one attorney told us that, right? The number one question he asked his prospective clients to filter for the right clients for him, who are not going to take years out of his in his pipeline, is have you made a decision and who will be the guardian of your child, of your children, if you're not around? So let's definitely jump in to say, where we're going in terms of helping our estate planners with maybe what is not their core offering, which is sometimes, helping families with some of the choosing the people to delegate some of these very, very serious things, responsibilities to.
Sure. Because the best notary, we come in at the execute part of the plan. But I think to your point, Nikki, we need to find ways to enter earlier. And what Eli was saying is many people avoid this process altogether because there's a conflict about what should happen with our kids. Are we in alignment? I heard one family where it was a blended family and there was some disagreement, and they thought that if they sat and really talked about it, they just end up in divorce. So their plan was whoever survives will decide,
Yikes.
which is probably the worst plan ever. And as a stepchild whose mother died first, and my stepfather has made that decision, and I'll just say it hasn't been in my interest. I really don't think that's a good plan. So, as the best notary, we come in with the notarization and buttoning that up in collaboration with our estate planning partners. But I think that there is a place and a role for coming in earlier and helping people sit with these uncomfortable conversations and making these decisions. And so we have been talking to a couple of estate planning attorneys, and they say, "Ooh, you're not ready. Maybe you go and talk to someone." And it's funny because we have as a therapist, we have a bunch of training around grief and death and dying after a loss, but we don't have many people who are prepared to have these conversations before a loss or before an estate plan. And so I would really like to kind of help us create that as a niche, because we're so avoidant. I agree with you. We need to take, in some ways, the emotion out of it. But I think we can only do that in some ways when we've dealt with it. Otherwise, we get stuck. If there's a lot of emotion and a lot of conflict, then we're like, I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to avoid all of it. So, um, as we've been in this process, I've been really thinking about what role can therapists and other people play in helping people have those really difficult conversations, because they are hard. Um, but then you can come to the estate planning attorney and say, okay, I feel better about this. I know it's going to happen. And here we go. We can come to someone like you and have this plan, right? Because estate planning is only one step, one part of this.
It
And it's
is.
much more complicated. I have so many people who are say, well, I did my estate plan 10 years ago. It's one and done, and I don't have to deal with it again. and
That's that
and we,
iteration piece, right? Step 6
right,
was
right.
iteration, right? Is it
Right.
and
Remember,
as
you need
right?
to like, did someone pass away? Did someone get married? Did a child get born? Did you sell a house? And so there's this like, okay, I did it, and I hold my breath and I get through it, and then I never have to deal with it again. And it's like, no.
It's you
We
know what? Another terminology please take on is this is your next level of adulting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I just have to say that to my clients. Like, and honest truth, I have to say that more often to the 60 and 70-year-olds than I do the 30 and 40-year-olds. Believe it or not. And I think it is just one of those things that because death, again, with the complexity of it, death has been taboo. People didn't want to talk about it. Religion has wrapped itself around, making it very confusing, emotionally ungrounding, a lot of fear-based. So as professionals, we need to come together and say, no, this is just part of living, paying taxes and dying. Benjamin Franklin said it best. So let's us create this roadmap for you instead of a treasure hunt. Let's get you to know that building an end of life plan is a wellness program. This is what you do as part of your wellness activities.
It's also a gift to your family
The love
and
letter.
the most wonderful thing you can do for them, because then they can focus on their love for you and how much they miss you and care about you, not on, where do I find those things? I don't know, right? That's the last thing they want to be doing.
And if I
Stephanie,
can,
go ahead. Oh, jump in.
yeah, so, part of the problem is who is going to be my trustee on my trust, right? Is it going to be typically it's a sibling or someone that's known and trusted, but sometimes there might not be a good person to do that. So that's where the fiduciary comes in. In California, as we told you, Nikki, we're very lucky that there is a very established licensing kind of ecosystem. So there's a lot of people who are you can find as licensed professionals who can be named as your trustee, and you can vet them ahead of time, and they can do that for you. So we are trying to help with that by creating an ecosystem of people that we know, like, and trust, that we've vetted ourselves, that we can save you the time to have to go to Google and do a search. So I put a link in the chat, and that's where I think Endovo will be have a place, and Legato, and all of these people building great things for end of life. We're going to curate them. We're going to put the pricing, put a little video of the person who is representing that solution, and just to add that value to our estate planners, our divorce attorneys, our corporate trustees. All of these people are working together to help the family be successful, the wealth advisor, right? So I think that is another way that we kind of like are anticipating what our clients, partners, friends, family need. And just here's a list. It's curated. You just jump in, and minimizes some of that, intention action gap. Because now I got to go look and interview 5 people. Well, here's 3 people that we can tell you are great because we've worked with them. Here's the proof. So that's another way we're trying to help out with this, like, really difficult decision making.
And also to realize that as service providers, right now it's been the reason it's complicated. I mean, break it down, the complexities of what your client is dealing with, right? They're dealing with their beliefs. So what a faith-based believer, the decisions they make versus someone who's atheist, it's going to be very different. And now they have to go to all of these different service providers. You guys are in the legal space, going into the financial space. Do they have enough life insurance? Are their accounts consolidated? In the physical space, do they live in a state that allows for medical aid in dying? How do they feel about hospice? Do they even have enough money for long-term care if it's needed, whether for themselves or their loved ones? And then the digital piece. So to really just take a moment and understand, someone mentioned in the chat, there are state attorneys out there that don't have comprehensive plans in place. So this is a no judgment zone. We're not here to judge. I am here to educate, project manage, and empower people to build out comprehensive plans for those you love. So again, just kind of giving the flash of like, this is a holistic approach. We talked about the 10 reasons why people don't plan. But even if we took the most famous one here, Aretha Franklin, which is probably one of those case studies that people talked about, worth millions worth millions, $80 million, right? And she was diagnosed, 8 years had cancer. This is not a young person who had to come to terms. She had 8 years and still died in intestate. Like, where were her people? Who is she not talking to? That she felt the need. She knew she needed a will. She wrote 3 of them. Like breadcrumbs, left them in the cushion in the cabinet, right? So by the time they actually finished probate and distribution of her estate, it went from 80,000 to just under 6. So don't be like Aretha Franklin. So it doesn't matter how old you, doesn't matter. So let's do a poll here. All right, Stephanie, let's see if the poll works. So let's add the digital piece in here, right? Because this is where the complexity is going to be coming in. So how many logins do you have? Passwords? I know what my answer is. Mine is way too many to count.
Unfortunately, I can't answer it because I'm a host, but definitely over 100, and perhaps too many to count.
And you know what?
Yeah, mine would be too
I would
many
say
to count too.
all right, but before the pandemic, maybe it was more manageable. So just within 5+ years, how it's gone from manageable to chaos. Poll question number 2. If you die tomorrow, could your
Hold
loved
on.
ones?
I want to share the results
Go ahead.
so that people can see the responses.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am impressed that there's someone that has under 25.
Oh,
Love to know how.
I wonder if that person, if they have under 25, if they miss their flip phone.
Yes.
Just a second, Stephanie. I want to take a screenshot of it so I can include that
Oh,
in
is it
the
still there?
in the video. Yep, perfect. Thank you, Stephanie.
If you have a business that is digitally dependent, I am sure you are close to that 100, over the 100, and on my guesstimation, especially now, and again, not to just for time's sake, not to go down too far the AI rabbit hole, but it is changing the way we do business, and we just need to prepare for it, or at least start having the conversations. So our cell phones. Answer this question first. I'll give you a minute to read it. All right. And Stephanie, when you're ready. So for those that did answer the question, here's a reality. The phone companies have more control over you than the government right now. Because
Wow.
think about it. Because the phone companies actually have the technology attached to you to track your activities, your location, your voice, your video. They have the data centers. So for those that say no problem, they know your password. No, your phone's dead too. Like your phone is dead. Plane crash, phone's gone. They don't have, so it's a big problem. They know your password. Think about that. We'll talk more. We'll get you set up.
So one of the questions in chat from Pam is if someone has my password, doesn't that bypass my biometrics?
So that's going to be a big conversation. So first of all,
We'll come back to that.
if you're dead, if you are gone, they cannot legally get into your phone. If you are deceased, they legally are not supposed to be in your phone. Data privacy. So that's a whole nother conversation. That's the whole other part two to this digital legacy planning is what is it going to mean? So just to keep the conversation moving forward, let's go to number 3. That's food for thought, Pam. Social media accounts. What do you think?
Dark web.
Is that your answer? Is that your final answer, Eli?
So one thing I'm going to say that's shifting, Nikki, is that things are moving towards passkeys. I'm sure you've seen sometimes they keep prompting you, hey, do you want to create a passkey? Which is a way to sign into an account without a password, but just using a device that is known and trusted to you. So I wonder if that's going to make this a little bit easier because once you have the phone and you have a legacy contact, which thank you again for helping me do that with Apple, it's such an easy process. Then once you get the phone access and you're in the phone, you can now enter into a bunch of accounts without having all the passwords. So if more people start to switch to passkeys, I think that could help with this. But that's if you take the time to create the passkey.
Right. Which is another step. So think about your project plan.
Mhm.
Right? So I would put that under the digital domain and another task that would need to be planned out, and someone would have to take those steps to make that happen.
That could be a lot of work if you have hundreds of
That's
accounts.
why we call this a project, right? This is not a checklist one and done. This is like there needs to be thought, decisions, time, like when are you going to do this? When do you expect to get it done? So I wanted to introduce to you what I believe as a digital thanatologist should be formatted, another document. Hey, this is an opportunity for all of us, right? Especially for another document you can use as a product. So you can call it digital continuity directive or digital legacy advanced directive. But the idea here is just like you have the POA for financial, POA for healthcare, you could potentially, my recommendation, if you have a client, and maybe that's an assessment you do with your clients, is maybe create a quick assessment on their digital competency or digital life, their risk of digital impact, digital life, digital afterlife. If they have, look, if you're like my brother and has a small digital footprint, then maybe you don't need a digital continuity directive or digital legacy plan. But if you're like me, and where I do have multiple social media accounts, I have a SaaS product, I have an app, my digital footprint is very large, I would probably want to have a digital advance directive. So this is another document that can be, and I do have I've been playing around with it. So I do, if anybody's interested in seeing what my template looks like and collaborating with me to kind of get something more filled out, then yeah, I mean, that would be agreed, Todd, thank you. And making sure that who you're deciding to be your appointee designatee for your digital advance directive might be, again, someone different for your financial or your healthcare. Those roles and responsibilities need to be very determined. So let's go through a quick exercise while we're coming down to the wire here. So for those that are not familiar with, remember I said about your phone. So let's get everybody hooked up with who here, besides Eli, has already their legacy contact set up on their phone. Give a shout out or a chat or something.
Can you say what a legacy contact is?
So for those that don't know what your legacy contact is, so on your phones, there is a feature. So iPhone has this feature, Android doesn't. Karen's got it done, and Ricardo's got them done. So if you died tomorrow and your phone died with you, think about multi-factor authentication. This is not your in case of emergency contacts, folks. This is a feature on your phone. Android, you need to go into, I'm an Android user, you need to go into your Google Inactive account manager, and you need to designate people and timelines on if your phone is inactive. Doesn't necessarily mean you're dead, it just means that it's inactive, that they will shut down the service and they would only give those people that are named on the account. For those that have iPhones, let's go through this exercise right now. Legacy Contact is a feature on the iPhone. So pull out your iPhone. You're going to go ahead and hit Settings. And then top left-hand corner, you're going to hit your face or your initials. And then depending on the model you'll have, it'll say sign-in security or password and security. You're going to click that. It'll spin. Scroll to the bottom. And is there somebody on the call right now that can read out loud what it says on their phone, who has not set up their legacy contacts yet? Can I get a volunteer since I don't have an iPhone?
What are we doing, Niki? Is
there someone on the call who does not have their legacy contact set up?
You know what? I think mine is set up. I can't see what you're showing us, and I have an iPhone, so I wonder maybe mine was set up.
Well, let's see. So Pam, if you hit settings, top left-hand corner, hit your face.
Well, the problem is I have family sharing, so I'm seeing everyone's faces is the problem.
I have it. I don't know if you can hear me. It says add legacy contact. It says legacy contact. Add legacy contact. Share your access key or pass down your digital legacy.
Now, Joel, click on add someone you trust, and then read out loud what it says.
It doesn't give me. The three choices are add a legacy contact, share your access key, or pass down your digital legacy.
Right. So it says
add legacy contact. Oh, it does say that. Okay, sorry.
Choose someone.
Add legacy contact. Okay.
So what you would do here is by adding legacy contact, if you don't have anybody in your legacy contacts, like there's nobody in your legacy contacts right now, if you died tomorrow and your phone died with you and there's nobody in there, you would need a court order for them to get access to your phone, to the data on your phone.
Okay.
So
Okay. I'm able to do that.
So I'm going to trigger a warning story. I had a client who had a 16-year-old child who unalived himself, who took his own life. Now, the child was underage and the parents owned the phone. But because the child did not have his legacy contact set up on his phone, the parents had to get a court order to be able to access the texts that the child was sending before he took his own life.
Wow.
Wow.
And how long does that take, Niki? What's the
You're
timeline?
going to court.
Could be a long time.
You just
Could be
lost
months.
your child. Like, you just lost your child. Like,
There's the time, but there's the emotional having to go through all of that and discuss it in open court. And like it's painful in so many ways. And the last thing you want to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
because the parents did not know their child's password.
Yeah.
Right.
The parents, and I've done several presentations. Recently, I did a presentation to the Stanford University's pediatric palliative care team. And the kids are, they're sick, they're terminally sick, but they're spending a lot of time online. And the parents don't have any of their logins. They don't know what the kids are doing. So, kind of pull us out a little bit because we're here to empower. So my recommendation on this legacy contact is, hey, family of mine, Passover dinner, Easter brunch, like let's sit around. Hey, I just learned about this new feature in iPhone. We should all, we should put each other in each other's phone. So who goes in as a legacy contact? I would put your executors in your legacy contacts or your trustees. If there is a child or a relative who is very tech savvy, I would put them in. Before you put them in, though, as your thanatologist, let them know, have that communication conversation. Hey, by the way, I just found this feature. Is it okay that I put you in? In case I die, you would have legal access to help out. FYI, as soon as you put them into your legacy contacts, they will get an SMS. And if you didn't tell them that they're going to be like, what's going on here? Like they're going to get an SMS. So please have a conversation with them before you add them as a thanatologist to let them know if you have parents that are not technologically savvy, but you are going to be responsible for them when the time comes, you should be in their phones. I see everybody bending now. Is everyone like starting to mess with it?
And I have an Android, so I can't figure it out, but I will.
And Niki, I just quickly asked Perplexity, what is a maximum number of legacy contacts Apple lets you have?
So again, best practice as a thanatologist. iPhone allows 1 to 5 people to be in your legacy contacts. I always work with the number 3, primary, secondary, tertiary, right? Everyone's like, oh, my husband's in my phone. Okay, but what if the two of you are in the car accident together? Like from a risk management standpoint, you need to be like navigating who is going to be that person or people, right? That know, love, and trust. What happens if, you're all in the car together, all on the plane together? Like who is going to be that? And as fiduciaries, and Joel, I see your hand up. As fiduciaries and estate attorneys, you need to kind of take that risk management, on a more, not just a legal terminology, but also that humanistic relationship. So Joel, what was your burning question for me?
This is a fascinating topic for me, even especially the password anecdote that you mentioned earlier, with that being an issue at hospices or whatever. My father had a stroke a couple of years ago, a mild one, but my sister and I decided to take over, helping them pay their bills and all that stuff. And my mother didn't know anything about that. We had set up a password manager for him, and that was such a difficult thing to work with. getting past the setup part, it's a lot easier. But for myself to have access to all of his accounts, so I mean, they're still well and alive now, but he has dozens and dozens of accounts that need access to, and there were questions about passwords in the chat. Folks who use multiple variations of the same password, we got rid of all that and use a password manager. But even that took a lot of time and effort, especially with multi-factor authentication. I have to like call them and say, "Hey, Dad, I'm trying to get access to your blah blah blah, so I need a text message, code in order to be able to log in." Like all of that, it gets more difficult at his age. Um, but I guess my point is, there's so much more to be done. It seems like it's not just taking care of everything after someone passes, whether it's family or your clients. But doing things now, and you just said that a minute or two ago about getting access to everything now. So wholeheartedly agree. But that's all. Thank you.
No,
Not really
this
a
is
question, just an observation. The password thing it really was hours and hours and hours. And then he had lost his phone, and we live out of state from each other. So I actually had a friend have to come over to help him navigate getting the new phone and getting access to everything again. It was, yeah.
and Joel, that your story, as frustrating and heartbreaking it is, it's not uncommon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I want to let me just finish up this what to do next in the legacy contact. So 1 to 5 people, recommend 3, know, love, and trust. Think about, if something happened. Then the next thing I want you to do is you're going to get a QR code for each person that's in your list. You're going to hard copy print the QR code. You're going to create a special folder, manila folder, hard copy folder that says phones. And you're going to put those QR codes, like I have in my QR code, in my phone folder, I have my husband's, my kids, who else? No, my husband's and my kids. That folder now becomes part of your estate documents. So wherever the will, trust, all those estate docs, that phone folder also becomes part of it. Questions? Hope that's helpful.
Oh,
So
Niki, this is so great.
I have a question. Doesn't keeping that QR code create a security risk?
So then we talk about storage, right? Where security risk. Well, first of all, they won't be able to access your phone until you're dead. So in order to access, let me rephrase, in order to access your phone data, they would have to present a death certificate as well as be either the QR code or in the legacy contact list.
Gotcha.
Yeah, sorry, I missed that one. In order to access, you need a death certificate. So to wrap up here, project managing, to be able to put a framework around all of the things that we do here. You guys are just in the legal piece. And you know how hard it is. And Eli just mentioned, and I'm sure all of you have some sort of story, whether personal or a client story, where the digital piece became a problem. Access became a challenge, delayed transfer of monies, of assets, high level of confusion. You're asking people at probably the most vulnerable time in their lives, or a most vulnerable point in their lives, to make very important decisions that sometimes cost a lot of money. My mission right now is to have these conversations way ahead of time. Don't wait until there's a diagnosis. Don't wait until you get that phone call. Don't wait until, mom says that she does need help when she needs help years before. Have this end of life planning as just daily conversation, part of life. The what ifs, what happens when. Some of the conversations you might not be able to document, like the one my cousin had with his wife who died unexpectedly. They had a kind of flippant conversation about organ donors. And she flippantly said, Mark, I'm not, don't ever donate my organs, no matter what you do. And it was like a casual dinner conversation. But that dinner conversation where she stated, I don't want to ever be an organ donor, when she died unexpectedly, even knowing it wasn't documented, and he was in the hospital and she was dying, and then the association started knocking on his door asking if they would be willing to sign papers to give over different body parts. Mark had that in his head. He said, no, that's not what she wanted. But they had the conversation. They didn't document it, but they had it when things were good. So as professionals, we need to be the catalyst. We need to start having those conversations. We need for our clients to understand this is not a treasure hunt. We have a roadmap. This is a project. We're going to get you through it. We'll pause for the moments when you need to make decisions. Relationships are complicated, but part of living is dying. We're all going to die. We'll die one of three ways. So at that point, I don't want to say I'm Niki Weiss, but here we are at the end of our conversation. I really want to open it up. Todd, did you have something you wanted to share?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And well, I will share something. So I've been working on this for a while, and over Thanksgiving, I installed password managers for my parents, to which I'm a vault. I'm an owner of their critical vault. So I actually have access to their passwords through a sharing relationship that doesn't require court death certificate type situation. And so those things, and so I've been starting to help other people set up password managers, and also the structure so that everything's in the password manager and not half out.
Kind of like a trust.
Kind of like a
It's not in
trust.
yeah.
Yeah. And then the last thing is that I realized 1Password, which is what we're using, doesn't have a good export routine to take a printout and put with your state documents. So I actually created a program to do that. And so
Care to share?
yeah, I can right now. I created it, and I created an Apple app for that. And just for fun, because I hadn't done it in a while, I created a whole process for uploading it. So I put it for sale for $10, but I may just make it available for free. But the information is at vaultexporter.com.
Thank you for sharing that, Todd. Have you come across Trustworthy, Todd, by any chance?
No.
Yeah.
But this whole area, Niki, I really enjoyed this presentation because it puts everything into context. Where I've been leaning is on the project management part of the digital piece. Besides for the password manager, your backup system, your setting up your legacy contacts and the different programs that accept that, hardening your phone, freezing your credit. There's about 10 things that probably, take about 10 hours to do. Once you've made all those decisions,
and documented.
And yeah, and document the whole thing, and because everyone has their Dropbox folder with all their photos in it or what have you. So this but this is what you're talking about is bigger than that, because it's really getting the people emotionally ready to actually do this work. But we're considering setting up this service as a digital service provider for this component, where we're actually hand-holding people through the setup of the password manager, where Jarrell said it's so painful.
But again, remember 68% of Americans don't have a plan. So that's the percentage that we still need to. You're servicing the people that are knocking at your door. But what about the people who are still behind the wall?
Yeah, exactly. So that's where we are now. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well,
Tom,
Todd,
if
I'd
you
love
could
the
put the
opportunity
link
to,
in the chat. Yeah, put
yeah.
the link in the chat to the app. We'd love to check it out.
Sure.
Other questions? What were your takeaways? So, Ricardo, for you,
Always a
what was
good
the
sign that
takeaway?
we're going over time, Nikki, that people
Okay.
are
Yeah,
here
we
and
got to get
engaged
going.
and so excited to hear what you have to say. So I just want to acknowledge that this has been a dynamic and exciting time. So I hear you're open to a couple more questions before we wrap up. Yeah.
Or takeaways.
Or takeaways. Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to say that it makes me feel better that I'm not alone. This is, sometimes I feel overwhelmed just dealing with mine and then helping others to do the same thing. And also, I'm an estate planning attorney, so we mostly focus on physical uh, property, but very few clients um, are. I'm having this conversation with very few clients, and I think the intake process and this conversation is very, very important. And like you said, it's becoming like most of our assets are digital now. So I think that's where the conversation starts. And if it helps anyone that is listening, I've kind of switched the conversation because it's difficult to talk about death. I've tried to move the conversation into what do you want to happen to your loved ones when you're not here? So they start thinking about, oh, who do I love? How is my death going to impact them? So it's less about them and more about the community that they leave behind. And that has helped me a lot to trigger the conversation, to continue engaging with them and hopefully get them something set up. And like I tell them at the end of all my intakes, even if you don't do it with me, please do it with someone. Yeah, I encourage them to do it because I think it's very important. So thank you very much.
Yeah, no, peace of mind for those you leave behind. Live fully, die ready. You know, we can throw the taglines out there, but the bottom line is dead is not dead is dead, they'll figure it out. That's not the answer. So yeah, thank you. Any last words? Last shares.
Thank you. This is great. I really appreciated it.
And Pam, what was your biggest takeaway from this conversation?
I couldn't, I mean, well, I think you should connect with PFAC and teach a session there. I can't help you, but this is such, I agree. It's the conversations before that fiduciaries can help when somebody's made a plan, but having the conversations to get you to the plan is where everyone I know seems stuck. So this is going to be great.
Well, I am offering, pilot program. So if anybody out there, let me just pitch this, is that Endeavo, we do end of life planning as a wellness program for employees. So it's an employee benefit, and we are looking for pilot programs. So if any of you have a practice, could it be a small practice, but you want to actually take your employees through this building out a final playbook, the legal, financial, physical, digital aspects of life they build today, not just for themselves, but for their loved ones, contact me directly and be happy to, tell you more about what the pilot program consists of.
Awesome, Nikki. And maybe we can include that in the recording materials when it gets sent out. So definitely provide us with a link to that.
We'll do that.
Folks
Yep,
sign up and contact
for
you.
sure.
And I do see that copy of Checklist Manifesto behind you there.
Oh, yeah.
That gives you a lot of credibility with me because that's a great book that I haven't read yet, but I know that I need to.
Well, Atul
Can you show,
Gawande wrote.
can you show it again? I see it's Atul Gawande, but I don't know. I can't see the name of the book.
Oh, it's called the Checklist Manifesto.
Got it. I've read a lot of his stuff. He's amazing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and then, of course, Being Mortal.
Yeah, that one I've read. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's another one.
So Checklist Manifesto was his first one. It basically talks about how, as a physician, a surgeon, they have a checklist, to go in to make sure that there's consistency and continuity within each of the So I've taken that concept, just from a project management standpoint, to create the checklists so people could just move through it consistently. All right, we're about 15 minutes over here.
Yes, thank you, Niki. I have a feeling we could have you come back and we could go deeper in so many of these things.
Oh, we haven't even gone down the AI rabbit hole and
I know there's so many
digital afterlife. Oh my God.
We're gonna bring you back for sure, Niki. So thank you for sharing your knowledge, Niki, your wisdom, your time. Everyone who showed up, Todd, appreciate you adding to the toolkits for dealing with this very difficult process. Ricardo, for being a repeat guest here, bringing an estate planning perspective to it. Pam, fiduciary and training. Very grateful for all your perspectives, ideas. We can't wait to see you guys next month with a really cool speaker. I believe it's Ariel Waldman talking about her journey in Antarctica. She took a camera and made a whole documentary, which will be dropping on PBS. So she'll be talking about how she funded that project and essentially how to take on difficult problems such as this for the people who are in the transition space. So we'll be emailing all of you with an invitation to that for next month. So thanks for being here, folks. Appreciate y'all. This is our, I think, 14th event. And I think at this point, we're moving towards a bi-weekly and then a weekly cadence. So Niki, lots more chances for you to speak. If you know any speakers or you'd like to speak to our audience, definitely get in touch with me or Stephanie, and we'll get you on the calendar.
Thank you all. Take care. Have a good rest of your day.
Come join us on Zoom every Wednesday of the month at noon Pacific and 3 p.m. Eastern. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get notified when new episodes are released. This speaker series is sponsored by The Best Notary, your trusted document concierge from Maui to Maine.